The stars around the convoy burned like cold fire, silent and endless. Long silver ships moved together through deep space, carrying diplomats, engineers, and royal guests from many worlds. Among them was the most important passenger of all, the Valari Princess Aelith, heir to one of the oldest alien empires in the galaxy. Humans were new to this part of space. They were still seen as small, fragile, and short-lived compared to ancient species, like the Valari. That was why Ethan Hale, a human security officer, stood at the far end of the command deck instead of the center. He was there to assist, not to lead. To observe, not to be trusted with critical decisions. Ethan did not mind. He had joined the interstellar service knowing humans were still proving themselves. He believed respect was earned, not demanded. And today, his only job was simple: protect the passengers and follow orders. The convoy was halfway through a calm trade corridor when the warning lights flared. A sharp tone echoed through the ship. Energy disturbance detected, the navigation system announced. Before anyone could respond, space itself seemed to twist. A violent surge of unknown energy ripped across the convoy. Shields flickered. Systems failed. One ship drifted off course. Another lost engines entirely. Ethan grabbed the rail as gravity shifted. "What's happening?" someone shouted. No one had an answer. On the main display, a section of space collapsed into glowing instability. It was not an attack, not a weapon anyone recognized. It was a natural rift, rare and deadly, pulling power and matter toward it like a hungry void. "Princess transport compromised," a Valari officer said, voice tight with fear. Ethan's heart dropped. Princess Aelith's ship, smaller and faster, had taken the worst hit. Her emergency escape pod had launched, but the pod's route cut dangerously close to the rift. The Valari command froze. Their people valued survival above all else. Retreat was instinct. Risk was avoided. The calculations ran. Probabilities flashing across alien screens. Survival chance, low, one officer said quietly. Ethan did not wait for permission. He sprinted from the deck, boots pounding against metal floors as alarms screamed around him. His wrist console showed the escape pod's path in red. If nothing changed, it would be torn apart in seconds. He reached the auxiliary control chamber, an old system, mostly manual, rarely used. Human engineers had insisted on keeping it. The Valari had called it unnecessary. Ethan sealed the door behind him. "Ethan, stand down," a voice crackled through his comm. "That system is unstable." "I know," Ethan replied, already moving. He pulled himself into the control frame, hands flying over physical switches. The auxiliary array could redirect energy just enough to create a temporary shield path for the pod. But it needed power. Too much power. The console flashed a warning in harsh red letters. Radiation exposure likely. Fatal levels possible. Ethan swallowed. He thought of Earth. Of blue skies and gravity that felt like home. He thought of his sister, who had cried when he left. He thought of the words carved into the training hall back on Luna Station. Humanity stands where choice matters. The escape pod appeared on his screen, spinning, its shields failing. "No time," Ethan whispered. He rerouted power from his own suit, from the chamber's shields, from everything not essential. The hum around him grew louder. Hotter. The air shimmered. On the command deck, Valari officers stared as new data appeared. "Energy surge from human section," one said in disbelief. "That system cannot sustain." The escape pod's shields flared bright white. Princess Aelith felt the sudden warmth surround her. Her damaged controls steadied. The tearing pull of the rift weakened. She looked at her instruments. Confused. "I'm stabilizing," she said softly. Her pod cleared the danger zone seconds before the auxiliary system overloaded. Inside the control chamber, Ethan cried out as the radiation burned through his suit. His vision blurred. The console sparked, then went dark. He slumped forward, breath shallow. "Princess safe," he whispered, forcing the words out. "That's good." The chamber door burst open moments later as emergency crews rushed in. They found Ethan unconscious, his suit scorched, his pulse weak. He diverted everything, a medic said, stunned. All of it. On the main deck, silence ruled. Princess Aelith's image appeared on the screen, alive. Relief swept through the ship, but it was mixed with confusion. A human did this? A Valari elder asked. The recordings played. Ethan's sprint, his manual override, the warnings he ignored. To save one life, another officer said slowly. He risked his own. He did more than risk it. The medic's voice came through the channel. His condition is critical. Ethan was moved to the medical bay. Machines surrounded him, struggling to keep his body stable. Human biology fought hard, stubbornly, refusing to fail. Even as damage spread, the Valari healers worked beside human doctors, their methods cautious, precise. Why would he do this? One Valari asked quietly. Princess Aelith did not answer right away. She sat on the medical bay's edge, watching the human who had saved her. He looked at the numbers, she said at last. He knew. Then it makes no sense, the elder replied. There was no bond, no duty. Aelith's voice softened. He chose. Far across the convoy, aboard the largest royal vessel, the Valari queen stood alone in her observation chamber. The stars reflected in her dark eyes as the full report played before her. She watched the human officer again and again. His calm face as the warnings flashed. His hands, steady even as death approached. The queen was ancient, her mind shaped by centuries of survival logic. Her people had endured by avoiding loss, by retreating from impossible odds. This was different. A single human, she said slowly, stood where logic said retreat. Her advisor hesitated. He may not survive. The queen did not look away from the screen. Prepare a sanctum, she ordered. If he lives, he will not be forgotten. And if he dies? The advisor asked. The queen's voice was quiet but unyielding. Then his sacrifice will not be allowed to end in silence. In the medical bay, Ethan's heart stuttered, then steadied. Machines beeped faster. Human resilience pushed back. Inch by inch, Princess Aelith reached out and gently placed her hand near his, careful not to touch the wires and lights. You saved me, she whispered. I don't know why, but I will remember. Ethan did not wake, but somewhere deep within him, something held on. And across the stars, an alien queen realized that one human choice had already begun to change the fate of empires. Silence filled the medical sanctum, broken only by the steady beeping of machines. Soft light flowed across smooth white walls made of living crystal, glowing gently with every heartbeat detected inside the room. At the center lay Ethan Hale, still and pale, his body wrapped in layers of medical systems from both human and Valari design. Many hours had passed since the convoy escaped the space rift. Ethan had not woken. Human doctors worked with quiet focus. Valari healers stood nearby, their long fingers moving through light patterns in the air, reading life signs the way humans read screens. It was rare for the two species to work so closely. Even rarer was the reason. He should be gone, one Valari healer said softly. His body absorbed more radiation than our models allow. But he isn't, a human doctor replied. His heart keeps correcting itself, like it refuses to stop. The Valari healer tilted her head, confused. Why would a body fight so hard when survival chances are so low? The human doctor did not answer. He only adjusted a setting and watched the monitors. Across the room, Princess Aelith stood quietly. She had not left since Ethan was brought here. Her royal guards waited outside, but she insisted on staying close. Every slow rise of Ethan's chest felt like a promise and a fear. He saved me, she said again, as if repeating the words might give them strength. The chief Valari medic turned to her. Princess, you are safe now. You should rest. Aelith shook her head. Not while he lies here because of me. At that moment, the doors opened without sound. The room fell still. The Valari queen entered. She was taller than all others present, her presence calm yet heavy, like gravity itself. Her crown was not metal but living crystal, glowing faintly in response to her thoughts. Every healer and doctor bowed their head, except the humans. They stood respectfully, but they did not kneel. The queen noticed. Her eyes moved to Ethan. "So this is the human," she said. "Yes, Your Radiance," the chief medic replied. "His condition remains critical." The Queen stepped closer. She studied Ethan's face carefully. There was no fear there, even in sleep. No regret. Only stillness. "He should not be alive," she said. "That is correct," the medic answered. The Queen looked at the princess. "And yet, he is." Aelith met her mother's gaze. "He chose to save me." The Queen nodded once. "I have seen the recording." She turned back to the healers. "Explain." The Valari medic hesitated. "His neural activity remains active, damaged, but present. Human emergency systems preserved his brain patterns. His body is resisting shutdown." "A refusal," the Queen said slowly. "Not a reaction." The room grew quiet. The Queen's advisor stepped forward. "Your Radiance, we must consider the cost. Our healing systems were not designed for humans. Continued effort may change outcomes," the Queen interrupted. "Yes." She looked down at Ethan again. "My people survived for centuries by knowing when to retreat," she said. "This human survived by refusing to do so." Her fingers traced a symbol in the air. The walls responded, glowing brighter. "Begin a synthesis scan," she ordered. The chief medic stiffened. "Your Radiance. That procedure is restricted. It blends Valari biolight with foreign neural systems. It has never been done on a human," the Queen finished. "Then it is time." The humans exchanged worried looks. "Queen," the human doctor said carefully, "we don't know how his body will react." The Queen turned to him. Her gaze was sharp but not cruel. "And yet," she said, "you tried everything you knew. Did you not?" The doctor nodded slowly. "Then now," she said, "we try something new." The procedure began. Soft beams of blue-white light descended from the ceiling, surrounding Ethan's body. Valari biolight flowed like liquid stars, carefully guided toward his head. Human machines adjusted automatically, struggling to understand what they were seeing. Ethan's heart rate spiked. Princess Aelith gasped. "Mother, stay," the Queen said firmly. "Watch." Inside Ethan's mind, there was darkness. Not empty darkness, but deep, heavy, quiet. Memories floated like distant lights. Earth, training halls, stars. The moment he rerouted the power, "Princess safe," he remembered thinking. The darkness pressed in. Then something touched it. Warm, gentle, bright. His mind reacted. Neural signals flared unexpectedly. The Valari healers cried out in shock. "He's responding." "No, he's integrating." The biolight did not erase Ethan's mind. It followed it, reinforced it, strengthened the connections that refused to break. Ethan's fingers twitched. His chest rose sharply. Machines beeped wildly, then steadied. The Queen watched without blinking. Minutes passed. Then hours. Finally, the light faded. Ethan lay still again. Silence returned. "Is he?" Princess Aelith began. The human doctor leaned over the monitors. His eyes widened. "He's stable," he said slowly. "Not cured, but alive. Truly alive." A quiet breath escaped the Queen. "He will live," she said. The advisor frowned. "Your Radiance, what you have done binds us to him. The Council will question this." "They should," the Queen replied. "Because this human now carries Valari biolight within him." The advisor stiffened. "That makes him life-bound," the Queen said. The word carried weight. Princess Aelith's eyes widened. "That status is reserved for those who change the fate of the realm." The Queen looked at Ethan. "He already has." News spread quickly through the convoy. A human had survived what should have killed him through a forbidden synthesis authorized by the Valari Queen herself. Some praised the decision. Others feared it. In the council chambers, voices rose in debate. "We are risking our traditions. We owe him a debt. He is an outsider. He is proof." The Queen listened to them all. Then she stood. "Enough," she said. Silence fell instantly. "This human gave his life without hesitation," she said. "Not for power, not for reward, but because he believed one life mattered." She paused. That belief is now part of us. The council could not answer that. Back in the sanctum, Ethan's eyes finally opened. Light blurred his vision. Strange shapes surrounded him. He tried to move, but his body felt heavy. Princess Aelith stepped forward, tears shining in her eyes. "You're safe," she said softly. "You're alive." Ethan tried to speak. His voice came out weak. "Did it work?" She smiled through tears. "Yes." He closed his eyes again, exhausted. Outside the room, the Valari queen watched through the crystal wall. "He will wake again," she said. "And then?" the advisor asked. The queen's voice was calm but certain. "Then," she said, "we decide whether the galaxy is ready for what humanity truly is." And somewhere between two species, one human heart continued to beat, refusing to be let go. Ethan woke slowly, as if rising from deep water. The light above him felt soft, not sharp, and the air carried a calm hum instead of alarms. For a moment, he did not know where he was. His body felt heavy, but not broken. It felt held. He opened his eyes. The ceiling was not metal. It looked like glass mixed with stars, glowing faintly in slow patterns. Thin lines of light moved like living veins. "This is not a hospital," Ethan whispered. "No," a gentle voice answered. "It is a sanctum." Ethan turned his head with effort. Princess Aelith stood beside the bed. She wore simple robes now, not royal armor. Her eyes were tired but warm. "You are awake," she said, relief clear in her voice. Ethan tried to sit up. The bed adjusted on its own, lifting him slightly. "How long?" he asked. 3 cycles, Aelith replied. "You frightened many people." Ethan gave a weak smile. "Sorry about that." She shook her head. "You should not be." Ethan became aware of something else, an odd warmth inside his chest. Not pain, not sickness, just presence. Like a quiet strength he had never felt before. "What did you do to me?" he asked carefully. Aelith hesitated. "My mother chose to save you." Before Ethan could ask more, the room changed. The walls brightened. The air seemed to shift. The Valari queen entered. Ethan felt it instantly. Not fear, but pressure. Like standing near a powerful storm that had decided to remain calm. He tried to rise. "Do not," the queen said. Her voice was smooth, steady. "You are still healing." Ethan relaxed back, meeting her gaze. "Thank you for not letting me die." The queen studied him closely. "That was not a simple decision." "I can imagine," Ethan replied. She tilted her head slightly. "You speak without fear." Ethan shrugged weakly. "I already died once. Hard to be scared after that." Aelith smiled despite herself. The queen allowed a small pause. Then she said, "You carry Valari biolight within you now." Ethan blinked. "I do?" "Yes," the queen replied. "It sustained your neural core. Without it, your mind would have faded." Ethan looked down at his hands. They looked normal. "Am I changed?" he asked. The queen answered honestly. "Yes, but not in the way you fear." She turned slightly, and the walls opened into a wide hall beyond. "You are now life-bound to the Valari crown." The words felt heavy. Ethan frowned. "I didn't ask for that." "I know," the queen said. "That is why it matters." News of Ethan's awakening spread fast. Within hours, Valari officials, human diplomats, and representatives from allied worlds gathered in the upper halls of the palace ship. They watched him walk slowly beside Princess Aelith, supported by a light brace. Whispers followed him. "That's the human. He survived the synthesis. He carries Valari light. He should not exist." Ethan heard them all and ignored them. He had faced worse than whispers. In the council chamber, a great circle of crystal seats glowed softly. The queen took her place at the center. Aelith stood to her right. Ethan stood alone. "You may speak," the queen said. A tall Valari counselor rose. "Human Ethan Hale, your actions saved our princess. For that, we honor you. But your continued presence raises questions." Ethan nodded. "That's fair." the counselor continued. Your survival required forbidden methods. Some fear this sets a dangerous example. Ethan took a breath. His voice was calm. I didn't plan to survive, he said. I only planned to help. A murmur spread through the chamber. Another counselor spoke. Humans are known to be emotional, impulsive. Why risk extinction for one life? Ethan met the counselor's gaze. Because one life is not small to us. Silence followed. Ethan continued. More softly. Where I come from, we learned something early. We break easily. But we decide what we stand for. The Queen watched closely. I didn't save the princess because she was important, Ethan said. I saved her because she was there. That answer unsettled many. The Queen rose. This human challenges our oldest belief, she said. That survival is the highest value. She looked at Ethan. You value choice. Yes, Ethan replied. Even when it costs everything? Yes. The Queen turned back to the council. Then understand this. He is not a weapon. He is not a symbol of power. She paused. He is a mirror. The chamber fell quiet. Later, as the council dispersed, Princess Aelith walked with Ethan through a quiet observation corridor. Stars drifted past in silence. Do you regret it? She asked. What? Ethan said. Saving me. He thought for a moment, then shook his head. No. Aelith smiled faintly. My people would not have done the same. Ethan leaned against the rail. Maybe not yet. She looked at him. You believe we can change. I know you can, he said. Your queen already did. Aelith followed his gaze. At the far end of the corridor, the Valari queen stood alone, watching distant stars. She felt the weight of eyes on her and turned. Ethan straightened. Your Majesty. The queen approached. The galaxy is watching, she said. Other powers question why I intervened. Ethan nodded. I understand if you need to let me go. The queen studied him carefully. Let you go? She repeated. Yes, Ethan said. I didn't do this to stay. A long silence followed. Then the queen spoke. I will not release you, she said calmly. Ethan stiffened. Not as a prisoner, she continued, but as a witness. She gestured to the stars. You will stand with us when the Council of Worlds meets. They must see what humanity truly is. Ethan hesitated. I'm just one person. The queen's eyes softened. That, she said, is what makes you dangerous to old ideas. Princess Aelith stepped closer to Ethan. You changed my life, she said quietly. And my people's future. Ethan looked at the stars again. He thought of Earth, of home. I just did what felt right, he said. The queen turned away, her decision made. Then prepare, she said. Because soon, the galaxy will learn that humanity's strength is not in what it conquers. She paused, but in what it refuses to abandon. And beside her throne, a human stood alive, chosen, and no longer unseen. The Grand Council of Worlds had not gathered in full session for many cycles. Ancient species, young civilizations, traders, scholars, and observers from across known space filled the massive chamber. The hall itself was carved from living crystal and metal older than most stars, floating at the heart of neutral space. Today, the galaxy was watching. At the center platform stood the Valari Queen, calm and unmoving. To her right was Princess Aelith, and beside them stood a single human, Ethan Hale. He wore no armor, no symbols of rank, only a simple human uniform. Whispers rippled through the chamber. That is him, the human who survived, the one the queen refused to release. Ethan felt the weight of thousands of eyes. His heart beat steady. He remembered standing alone in the auxiliary chamber, choosing action over safety. This felt the same, only quieter. The queen raised her hand. Silence fell. We are gathered, she said, her voice carrying easily, because a question has been asked across the stars. She turned slightly toward Ethan. Why would the Valari Queen bind her throne to a human? A tall delegate from an ancient species rose. Your actions broke tradition. You used forbidden healing. You tied your crown to an outsider. The Queen nodded. All true. Then explain, the delegate demanded. What threat required this? The Queen did not answer immediately. Instead, she gestured to Ethan. Human Ethan Hale, she said. Tell them why you acted. Ethan stepped forward. He did not raise his voice. I was doing my job, he said simply. A low murmur spread. I saw someone in danger, Ethan continued. I had a choice. I took it. A delegate laughed softly. You traded your life for one royal? That is not strategy. Ethan met the delegate's gaze. It wasn't strategy. Then what was it? Ethan paused. It was who I am, he said. The chamber grew quiet. The Queen spoke again. This human was not ordered. He was not bound by oath. He was not promised reward. She let that sink in. He chose loss so another could live. The delegates shifted uncomfortably. Princess Aelith stepped forward next. I am alive, she said, her voice steady. Because he did not calculate my value. He saw me as a person. She turned to the assembly. How many of you would do the same for a stranger? No one answered. A representative from a militant species rose. Your story is emotional. But power shapes the galaxy. Compassion does not. Ethan spoke, before the Queen could respond. Then why are you afraid of it? He asked. The delegate froze. Ethan continued, calm but firm. If compassion is weak, why does it make you uncomfortable? The Queen watched carefully. This human survived because his species refuses to accept endings easily, she said. His body endured. His mind endured. And when our science failed, his will did not. A hologram appeared above the chamber recordings from the convoy. Ethan rerouting power. Warnings flashing. His calm face, as systems failed. The room fell silent. This, the Queen said, is not recklessness. This is resolve. Another delegate stood. And what of now? Will you keep him as a symbol? As leverage? The Queen shook her head. I will keep him as a choice. She turned to Ethan. You are free to return to your people, she said, or to remain. The decision is yours. All eyes turned to him. Ethan felt the moment stretch. He thought of Earth, of blue skies, of the stars that had become his second home. I will go home, he said honestly. But not yet, Aelith smiled softly. I will speak for humanity, Ethan continued. Not as a ruler, not as a hero, just as proof. Proof of what? A delegate asked. Ethan answered without hesitation. That small species can matter. The Queen raised her hand again. Let it be known, she said, that the Valari Empire recognizes humanity as equal partners among the stars. Gasps echoed. Not because they are strong, she continued, but because they choose to be responsible with that strength. The declaration rippled through the chamber like a shockwave. Later, as the council dissolved into debate, Ethan stood once more in the observation corridor. The stars felt closer now. Princess Aelith joined him. You changed everything, she said. Ethan shook his head. I just showed up, she smiled. That is more than most do. The Valari Queen approached quietly. You may leave whenever you wish, she said. But know this, your place here remains open. Ethan nodded. Thank you for not letting me go. The Queen studied him. You misunderstand. She looked out at the stars. I could not let go of what you reminded me of. And that is? Ethan asked. That survival without meaning is only delay, she said. A transport ship waited later that cycle. Human markings gleamed against the hull. Aelith stood at the ramp. Will you return? She asked. Ethan smiled. Humans are good at that. She laughed softly. As the ship lifted into space, the Valari Queen watched from the platform. She felt no regret. Across the galaxy, the story spread. A human who gave his life and refused to stay dead. A queen who broke tradition to honor choice. An empire that learned strength could be shared. And on distant worlds, young species looked at humanity differently, not as fragile, not as reckless, but as the ones who step forward when no one else will. Because humanity's greatest power was never conquest. It was the simple, stubborn belief that one life is always worth the cost.